Hello, guys. Welcome to Psych Minds. If you have not subscribed yet, do subscribe to the channel if you like. We are reading Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before by Dr. Julie Smith. Chapter 29 When Good Stress Goes Bad. A stress response works at its best when it is short term and limited. When our circumstances cause continued stress that we cannot change or we don't know how to bring that stress back down, our body is not replenished for its efforts. Imagine driving along the motorway at speed in second gear. There is only so long you can keep that up before damage is done. When stress becomes sustained over long periods, our brain tends towards more habitual behaviors that demand less energy. Our ability to control our impulses, remember information, and make decisions become impaired. Over time, our immune system is affected. In the short term, adrenaline gives our immune function a boost to help fight bacterial and viral infections. But in the long term, overproduction of adrenaline and abnormal patterns of cortisol are linked with shorter life expectancy. Kumari et al., 2011. When adrenaline is repeatedly propping up our immune system through chronic stress, and then we stop and the adrenaline goes down, so does the immune system. This is why you often hear of people who work incredibly hard around the clock for months on end, and when they finally stop to take a holiday, they almost immediately fall ill. Burnout is a term used to describe the response to excessive and prolonged stress at work. Although paid employment is not the only environment in which we can experience burnout, anyone in a caring role, parenting role, or volunteering role may also experience burnout. People often describe feeling emotionally exhausted and drained as if they are running on fumes and having no resources left. They may notice feeling detached from other people or themselves. They often report feeling that they lack competence at work or at home and no longer have that same feeling of accomplishment that they once had from those things. Burnout happens when that short term stress response that we have is repeatedly triggered over a prolonged period without enough chance to rest and restore in between. There is often a chronic mismatch between the individual and one of the following: 1. Control. Living in a situation in which you do not have the resources needed to meet the demands that you are faced with. Second, reward. This might be financial in an employment scenario, but equally it can be a sense of social recognition or acknowledgement of value, either in a work environment or any other. 3. Community. A lack of positive human interaction and the sense that one has social support or a sense of belonging. 4. Fairness. When there is perceived inequality in any of the other factors in this list, when some people have their needs met more than others or demand fall on some more than others. 5. Values. When the demands you face are in direct conflict with your personal values. Let's be clear, burnout is a serious health issue. Anyone who thinks they may be experiencing burnout needs to act as soon as possible. But we also have to be realistic. Some pressures you can say no to, like taking on that side hustle on top of a 50-hour working week, but others you can't, such as physical illness or financial pressures or the emotional strains of a relationship breakdown. When you are fighting to keep a roof over your head and feed your children every day by working two jobs and trying to be the best parent you can be in between, there is no option to just remove stress from your life and take on an idyllic morning routine of meditation and yoga. But addressing burnout does not need to look like a holiday photo. Living with high demand and associated stress while looking after your health is a balancing act in which you will sway from one direction to the other. There is no silver bullet that will fix everything. What works to help one person balance demands will not be realistic for the next. When we are not able to turn that dial down on stress, or we are overloaded for so long that stress can become chronic. The signs of chronic stress differ between individuals, but I have listed a few below. Signs of chronic long term stress can be disturbed sleep on a regular basis, changes in appetite, more frequent agitation and irritability that may impact on relationships, problems concentrating and focusing on tasks, problems switching off and resting even when exhausted, persistent headaches or dizziness, muscle pain and tension, stomach problems, sexual problems, increased dependence on addictive behavior such as smoking, drinking, or overeating, feeling overwhelmed and avoiding small stressors that would normally feel manageable. Try this. If you think you may be experiencing burnout, try answering the following questions, then spend some time reflecting on your answers and what this means for you. There are validated measures of burnout, Christensen et al. 2005 and Maslach et al. 1996, but you are the expert of your own experience. Reflecting on how your current situation is influencing your health can help you to acknowledge when things need to change. Questions are: how often do you feel emotionally drained? When you wake up in the morning, do you feel exhausted at the thought of everything you have to do? When you do have free time, are you left with enough energy to enjoy that time? Do you feel persistently susceptible to physical illness? Do you feel able to deal with problems as and when they arise? Do you feel that your efforts and accomplishments are worthwhile? The communication between brain and body goes both ways. This means that when our body is under stress for extended periods, the persistent messages about this makes things to your very adaptable brain that is trying to regulate your body. This is why stress is so very damaging to both physical and mental health. It affects all aspects and every part of you. McEwan and Gianaros, 2010. In the balancing act of managing stress and using it to our advantage while remaining healthy, we need to balance incoming demands with replenishment. The more demands on us, the more replenishment we need. The more stress pouring into the bucket, the more release valves we need to process it and make room for the ongoing demand. This is the graph, the stress curve. A certain degree of stress will help you perform at your best. Go beyond that, and your performance declines. The good news is that we can reduce the effects of stress on the body with a few simple tools that I will describe in the next chapter. That brings us to the end of this chapter. Chapter summary: the stress response works at its best when it is short term. Chronic stress is like trying to drive your car on the motorway in second gear. There is only so long before damage is done. Burnout is not just a workplace issue. There is no silver bullet that works for everything. The right balance for one person will be unrealistic for another. If you are showing signs of burnout, listen to them and respond now by starting to meet your needs. Next chapter, chapter 30, making stress work for you. In the previous section on fear, I talked about using breathing techniques as a fast way to calm the body and mind. Those techniques are just as helpful with stress. Your breathing can directly impact on your heart rate and level of stress or calm. When you inhale, the diaphragm moves down and creating more space in the chest, which allows the heart to expand further and the rate of the blood flow to slow down. When the brain receives the information about this, its job is to then send a signal to speed up the heart. In contrast, when you breathe out, the diaphragm moves up, leaving a smaller space for the heart, and so the blood passes through quicker. This causes your brain to send signals to slow your heart down. When out breaths are longer and more forceful than in breaths, this slows the heart rate and calms the body. When the in breaths are longer than the out breaths, we become more alert and activated. Therefore, one of the most immediate ways to start calming your stress response is to make your exhales longer and more forceful than the in breath. It's worth noting that the aim when you are feeling overwhelmed with stress is not to go from agitated and worried to a relaxed and meditative state. When the world is demanding of us, we want to be alert. As you use breathing techniques such as this one, you will notice that your mind's ability to think more clearly and problem solve becomes more available to you. In that sense, we are not trying to make it all go away and induce ultimate relaxation, but to put you in the best state possible in which you are able to use the advantages of the stress response, like alertness, and bring down the intensity of the disadvantages, example, worrying or overwhelm. However, if you're putting time aside to practice relaxation or have interest in using breath work, then you can use this technique over longer periods to bring about the physical state of deep relaxation. That tends to be when you have more time and no distractions or current demands, so that you can use longer out breaths or other relaxation techniques to help you relax. But when you are in the moment and you need to perform, then the breathing technique is a good choice for helping you get through the moment. Turning to others. I'm sure most parents can relate to the experience of lying in bed and running through in their minds what they would do in the event of a house fire. You run through each possible scenario of how you could grab each of your children as quickly as possible. How does that need to protect fit into fight or flight mode? Fight or flight does not tell the whole story. Connection with and protection of others is just as much a part of our survival instinct as fighting that fire or escaping from it. Some stressful situations may lead to more selfish behavior, but other scenarios lead us to be even more caring towards others. Research also shows that when we do focus on caring for others in times of stress, it changes our brain chemistry in such a way that produces feelings of both hope and courage. In Agaki et al. 2012. It even helps to protect us from the harmful effects of long term chronic stress and trauma, so it becomes a source of resilience. McGonigal, 2012. This tend and befriend stress response may have evolved for the protection of offspring, but the stress response is generic, which means we can apply those same feelings of courage and to any scenario that you encounter. Connecting with others helps us recover from stress. Social isolation in itself places the mind and body under great stress. Meeting people we love in person and engaging fully in our relationship mitigates the effects of short term and long term stress. Goals. So much of what we are exposed to, especially in the self improvement industry, is about being your best, standing out from the crowd, and being exceptional. One of the first questions you hear when you meet new people is, what do you do? A fair question, but one that reflects our focus on career. Life goals are often set from a competitive standpoint. Everyone striving to prove themselves as enough with symbols of achievement, we are led to believe that happiness is somewhere beyond becoming exceptional. Many people who discover differently have had to learn the hard way that through burnout and mental health crisis, but science is beginning to unravel this fallacy. Those who build their life on self focused goals are more vulnerable to depression, anxiety, and loneliness, whereas those who structure their goals on something bigger than the self tend to feel more hopeful, grateful, inspired, excited, and experience better well being and life satisfaction. Rocker et al. 2009. Of course, we all have times when we focus on the self and times when we focus on goals that are bigger than the self. We have the ability to shift between these mindsets, which is crucial. We only have to spend a small amount of time reflecting on how our choices and efforts might help a greater cause in order to shift our experience of stress. When we focus on how our actions, big or small, can help others, we show less stress response in difficult and demanding situations. Abelson et al. 2014. So, what does this mean in the real world? When we make a conscious effort during stressful event to link our engagement to our values and to make a difference to others, we find the stress easier to cope with. We change the meaning of our struggle in such a way that we are motivated to persevere rather than to escape and avoid stress. The test becomes less threatening because it is no longer about proving our self worth. Our self worth becomes inherent in our efforts to make a difference. Try this. How to shift from self focus to something bigger. When you feel under stress and you notice the urge to escape or avoid, take some time to return to the values check in. Ask yourself questions like, how does this effort or goal fit with my values? What kind of contribution do I want to make? What difference do I want to make to others with what I am doing? What do I want to stand for during this? What do my efforts mean to me? Using meditation for stress toolkit. Meditation is not a belief system or a new age fad. It is a technique that, as science is discovering, has a powerful effect on the brain and on our quality of life. Scientists continue to reveal more details on the process, but what is known is that it changes the structure and function of the brain in ways that helps us to reduce stress and improve our ability to regulate emotions. When we are under stress, those tend to be the periods when we have even less time to rest. Yoga Nidra is a meditation technique that promotes deep rest and relaxation. It is a simple technique which is often carried out using guided meditation audio that leads you through perception exercises. Example, focusing on the breath and areas of the body. It has been increasingly examined by researchers in recent years and shown to reduce stress. Borkat et al. 2012, improve sleep, Amita et al. 2009, and increase general well being. Most guided meditation lasts for 30 minutes, but recent research on 11-minute meditations have also shown that even short doses of yoga nidra can help with stress for those who are not able to meditate for a longer period. Mosaic et al. 2020. So, when demands are high and time is short, using short breaks to make use of Yoga Nidra would be a better option than 10 minutes of scrolling on social media. Meditation is not a cure all. Just like exercise it is another potentially powerful tool in the box. There are lots of different types of meditation, but here are some of the practices that have been scrutinized by the research. Mindfulness meditation. This is most widely promoted and is taught as a part of several psychological therapeutic approaches. It teaches the mental skill of staying alert to the present moment and observing sensations without judgment and without getting caught up in them. It is a great tool for using the in the moment to help us deal with stress and emotion we are experiencing. It builds your ability to pull your mind back from thoughts of the past or future and to observe experiences as separate from the judgments and meanings that we attach to them. Meditations that use pictures or mantras, a word or phrase that has meaning or significance for you, or objects to help you focus your attention, and guided meditation that help us to cultivate compassion and kindness. Being mindful does not mean you have to surround yourself with candles and meditate all day. Being mindful is about the practice of paying attention to the present moment and observing sensations as they come and go, without getting caught up in those sensations or struggling against them. It means staying open and curious to experience without judgment and without rushing in to attach meaning to them. Meditation allows us to practice mindfulness formally as we learn to drive through driving lessons until the practice becomes instinctive. So the same is true of learning to practice mindfulness through meditation. So whether you already meditate and you want to bring those skills into your day-to-day activity, or you struggle with meditation but want to have to go at being more mindful, here are a few ways you can put mindfulness into action. Mindful walking. Start by noticing the sensation of the soles of your feet, how it feels when they make contact with the ground, the movement of the feet as it lifts off the ground and moves forward, how much time it spends in contact with the ground. Notice the movements of your arms as you move, not trying to change that, just noticing. Expand your awareness to notice the whole body and how it feels to be propelling yourself forward. Notice which part of your body need to move to aid this process and which part remains still to accommodate that process. Expand the attention further to focus on the sounds around you. Try to acknowledge the sounds that you might normally not notice, each time observing from a non-judgmental stance. Each time that your mind wanders and starts telling a new story, gently bring your attention back to your experience of walking in this moment. Notice everything you can see as you walk, the colors, lines, textures, and the movements of your visual perception as you pass. As you breathe, focus your attention on the temperature of the air and any scent or lack of. Mindful showering. For many of us, the morning shower is the time our mind gets to work planning the day, worrying about everything we have to do, or dreading the moment we must leave the hot water and start our day. But in those few minutes, this can be a great opportunity for practicing mindfulness. There is a lot of sensory information that feels unusual compared to the rest of the day, and so some people find it easier to anchor themselves in the present while in the shower. Focus your attention on the sensation of the water hitting the body, whether it hits you first and which part of the body are not in contact with the water. Notice the temperature of the water. Acknowledge any scents from soaps and shampoos. Close your eyes and listen to the sounds. Notice the steam and water droplets in the air or as they land on different surfaces. Notice any sensation in the body as you stand here. Mindful teeth brushing. Bring your attention to the taste. Acknowledge the sensation of the toothbrush as it moves. Notice the movements of your hand and the tightness of the grip with which you hold the toothbrush. Listen to the sounds of the brushing and running water. Notice the sensations as you rinse your mouth. Each time your mind wanders, gently guide your attention back to the various sensations of this process that is happening right now. Try to notice this activity that you do every day with the same curiosity as something that is brand new to you. You can do the same with any daily activity, whether it's swimming, running, drinking coffee, folding laundry, or washing up. Simply pick a normal everyday activity and follow the prompts to engage with that activity mindfully. Remember, if you notice your mind keeps wandering, you are not getting it wrong. Every mind is constantly wandering and making sense of the world. Mindfulness is not ultimate, unbroken concentration. It is the process of noticing when your mind shifts its focus and intentionally choosing to redirect the focus back to the present moment. Or, in the way that meditation can help us to get some distance from our thoughts and emotion, there is another experience that seems to have a similar effect. Awe is the feeling of being faced with something vast and beyond our current understanding of things. We can experience awe in the presence of beauty, the natural world, and exceptional ability, those moments that force us to reevaluate and rethink things in order to accommodate this new experience, from coming face to face with a powerful and charismatic leader to gazing at the night sky and contemplating the universe and the chances of having ever been born. Some experiences of awe come in once in a lifetime experience, like witnessing the birth of a child. Others can be connected with more frequently. Perhaps a walk through the woods, looking out to the sea and listening to a powerful singer. Psychology research has neglected this area so far, but we see awe used by people to detach from the messy details of everyday life and to widen the focus from the small stuff to the wider world and something that feels vastly bigger. But since the birth of the field of positive psychology, the research is starting in to acknowledge the importance of positive emotions and not just the eradication of the negative ones. Fredrickson, 2003. There is some relationship here between awe and gratitude, but so far any empirical evidence is lacking. In hearing people talk about their experiences of awe, I hear people talking about feeling small, and in doing so, being able to recognize more easily what matters most. It appears to bring about gratitude and wonder for having the chance to be alive. And it doesn't require you to live on a beach in Thailand or have access to Niagara Falls. It can be felt with a focus on ideas and imageries. Many self help gurus and motivational speakers talk about how the chances of being born are once in 400 trillion. This idea is hard to even comprehend and forces us to spend time trying to acknowledge how fortunate we must be to have this chance to live, even for a short time. Those ideas trigger a sense of awe, and that's something bigger than me feeling. There is nothing like feeling small in a vast universe to bring your stress down and feel comforted by the new perspective. In trying to accommodate that in your mind, everything needs to reshuffle, and you get a slightly fresh perspective on whatever you feel consumed by. So, when dealing with stress, why not explore what triggers a sense of awe for you? Whether it is time with animals or nature, watching extraordinary performances, or looking up at the stars. It helps to document these experiences, perhaps through journaling, so that you can understand the effect on you and then later return to memories even if you cannot return to the places. Chapter summary: change something as simple as how you breathe will impact on your stress levels. Science is showing us that meditation has a significant effect on the brain and how we deal with stress. Connecting with people, connecting with others help us to recover from stress. Social isolation puts the mind and body under great stress. Goals founded in contribution rather than competition help us to stay motivated and persevere under stress. Seek out experiences of awe to shift your perspective. That brings us to the end. We will continue reading from chapter 31 in the next reading. Bye bye for now. If you have any questions regarding the content we just read or even otherwise, you can reach out in the comment section of the video or in the community section of the YouTube channel. If you like to like and subscribe and share with your friends or like-minded people who might be interested in the content. Bye bye for now. Take care. Keep reading. Bye.